Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
It's certainly a Google weekend. Welcome aboard another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, rolling at you here on this Friday Big Ten Championship weekend, set for tomorrow at Lucas Oil Stadium. That follows Indiana and Louisville at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in a college basketball matchup of top 25 teams. Man, what a weekend it's going to be. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Appreciate you being with us. Looking forward to another fun day as we round out the week, and we're heading into a big-time weekend. And Indianapolis, of course, as the Big Ten Championship game takes place at Lucas Oil Stadium Saturday night at 8. Basketball in the afternoon. Big day, big doings all around. And, man, I'm here for it. It's going to be fun. The funny thing is, this is right now the biggest football game of the season. And it's not even for the championship. It's for the Big Ten championship, but it's not for the national championship. Crazy. Yeah, the more I started to think about it, I was actually watching a John Gruden video, how screwed up college football is. When, we think about the NFL and how we have all grown up watching the NFL and how they do the playoffs. Well, college football was never in that same realm of having those kind of issues with that amount of teams and yada, yada. Well, now they are. And now the thing is, ain't no way a group of people are the ones that should be determining who's the ones that's playing, especially when half of them have a vested interest in the participants. And if you want to try to tell me that doesn't matter, go sell crazy somewhere else. We're all stocked up here. Yeah, that doesn't work. Having guys pick the teams is dumb. Who the hell do you think they're going to pick? Do you think that they're not going to, if they're an SEC person, do you think that they're not going to swing toward the SEC? You're out of your mind if you think otherwise. So this is not it's not a sustainable system. They're going to have to come up with something. And the problem is, in the NFL, it's easy. You simply go by wins. If you win, you're in. They have what's called divisions. College football can't do that. Haven't been able to do that because of the inability to keep things balanced. And now with these unbelievably gigantic conferences, it's even harder because we've seen the face of college athletics change. Indiana and Vanderbilt are up near Vanderbilt's almost in the top 10. I don't know that Vandy gets in. I can't remember what my last thoughts were. There's so much that can happen. Not really a lot, but it's going to come down to if Georgia wins, that helps. If Alabama wins the SEC championship, that kind of screws things up because that's going to move Alabama way up. You're not shoving Georgia out. Somebody's got to go. Yeah. Now, the ACC wanting to chirp, the ACC commissioner chirping, oh, we deserve 2 bids. then you shouldn't have a conference that sucks, that has a team that's 7-5 playing in the championship. How's that possible? That's your fault. If you want Miami in, then get them in the damn championship game. How are they not in over 7-5 Duke? Ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. But at the end of the day, it's all going to work out, man. The Heisman Trophy on the line this weekend. I know that I'm sure that we have, but I'm trying to think back. When was it that the Heisman Trophy, so much was on the line for a game like this? It's a conference championship game, but it's going to determine a lot. It's going to determine the Heisman Trophy winner. It's going to determine the number 1 seed in the college football playoff, potentially the number 2 seed in the college football playoff. So there's so much on the line here. And then you've got the fact that Fernando Mendoza and Diego Pavia could become just the third ever Heisman winner of Latino descent. You've got to go all the way back to Jim Plunkett in 1970, who went on to the Raiders, who I think was a Mexican descent. Of course, Mendoza's Cuban Missile Crisis. Hey, man, will Ohio State have a Cuban Missile Crisis on Saturday? We're going to find out. Ohio State has not been pushed this year. Does that matter? We'll find out. We'll only find out if they get pushed. People look at that and try to use that as a talking point, which, yeah, it's possible. But usually when you're that good, I don't know that getting pushed is going to affect them. We'll see. Indiana has that experience at Iowa, at Penn State, big time, games on the line. It could come down, that could affect the play of the quarterback. I don't know. I doubt it. This is the 13th game, man, of the season. Andrew doesn't think they're going to give the Heisman to a freshman. Well, let me tell you, if a freshman leads his team to the Big Ten championship, the number 1 overall seed in the college football playoffs, might not be the case. That might not be the case. We'll see, man. We shall see. It's going to be a great weekend. Did you know that Fernando and Alberto's father, Fernando Sr., also played football at Columbus High School there in Miami? And do you know who he played with? Mario Cristobal, the head coach at Miami. I did not know that. Love learning stuff like that, though. Just cool little stories. Always very cool. And the fact these guys are close together as far as Vanderbilt and I don't know. Diego Pavia really just kind of jetted up into the Heisman conversation at the very end. I guess the win over Tennessee helped immensely, got his team into the CFP. Funny how last year Curtis Rourke goes 11-1 the regular season, only loses to the national champion. You didn't make the top 4. Amazing. Oh, that's right. He was playing for Indiana. I forgot. That makes a lot of difference in the world. But, man, don't forget, head out to Clayton's Country Bar in between games. We're going to be out there. There's so much going on. There's going to be so many people in Indy that are just there for the fun, that don't give a jack squat about the, not that they don't care about the games. There won't be going to the games. There'll be people that are just entered. Hey, let's go ahead and hit the break. We can kick her off, get her going. It is Friday, people. We've got lots more coming up. ALec and Lasley from thehoosier.com will join us next. Get the weekend menu laid out for you. Back with more right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday, Championship Friday. ALec Lasley from thehoosier.com joins me now, and we'll get to football. I guess we might as well get to basketball out of the way since that's happening too. It's such a big weekend. Indiana taking on Louisville at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Both teams coming off of losses on Wednesday that not exactly how Indiana wanted to start the Big Ten season or tenure under Darren DeVries. They go to Minneapolis. They just got beat. They sucked. They stunk. They couldn't hit a free throw. They couldn't hit from outside. Could not grab a rebound. And one of the things, ALec Lasley from Hoosier.com with me, ALec, they suck at rebounding. And when I say that sounds like I'm being just oversimplification of it. No, there was a shot that, and I remember this specifically, that Tucker DeVries took 8 foot, 7 foot, little floater right in the lane. There was not a single Indiana player in view of the television when he took that shot. And I'm like, you got to be this is why you suck. Poor shooting at the poor times, but they're not focused on rebounding. I'm not blaming them because I don't know what it is that they're supposed to be thinking of at this moment, but I can tell you one thing that never goes through their mind is rebounding the ball until it's halfway off the rim.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yes, obviously they have very much
And
struggled.
I may be a little harsh sounding, but I'm just getting right down to it.
No, I mean, look, to oversimplify, yes, they have been terrible on the glass in most games this year. I mean, we saw it against, very low mid-major competition. Their inability to, and again, it's not their ability or inability to rebound the ball offensively. It's their defensive rebounding that's the big issue, because they're not a terrible offensive rebounding team. The thing is that kills them is their defensive rebounding. They're a really, really good first shot defense, and we've seen that almost the entirety of this season. Their ability to get a stop on the very first shot is very good. They've proven that. Darren DeVries has talked about that. It's what happens after that shot goes up that really seems to just keep nagging at this team. And I think the biggest thing against Minnesota was in the first half. I mean, Indiana was in complete control of that game. About 5 minutes left in the first half. They were, I think, up by 7 or 8, and they were looking to stretch that lead into double digits there going into the half. And then obviously it ended up being a big run for Minnesota to end there. And they tied it up right at the buzzer. But the big thing that kept Minnesota in that game and allowed the Gophers to hang around was their offensive rebound. And they had 8 offensive rebounds, 14 second chance points in the first half alone. But the big thing is they were 7 of 20 on first shot attempts, right? 7 of 20. That is a very, very good defensive performance. I think that's 35% that you're holding a team to. But they ended up getting that many additional opportunities and scored 42% of their points off of second chance points alone. So that's the issue. It's not the offensive rebounding for Indiana, it's the defensive rebounding, and that's obviously a huge concern because Minnesota's not a tall team. Minnesota's not a good, talented Big Ten team. I mean, when we fast forward 3 months from now, I will be shocked if they're not at the bottom or the bottom 2 or 3 in the Big Ten. They just don't have the talent to compete consistently at a big level. And I think, part of that is, right, first road game, everyone's going to talk about. Playing in Minnesota is always a little bit difficult in that venue, but the inability to keep teams off the offensive glass and be physical consistently, that's another issue with this Indiana team. And it starts, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus here, but it starts with Reed Bailey. Reed Bailey has now shown we're a month into the season, and his inconsistency playing the 5 is a huge issue for this team. He's not physical enough to play the 5.
The best he does as a 5 is bring the ball up the floor.
What?
The best thing he does as a 5.
Well, yeah. So again, that's the thing. His versatility is what allows him to be so successful at the mid-major level and against high major teams. He has the ability to do that. I mean, his second half against Kansas State was obviously a terrific 20-minute segment for him, but he's just not consistent enough and definitely not physical enough to play the 5 at a Big Ten level right now. Not saying that he can't get there by the end of this year, but Indiana needs it now. They need it now going into Saturday. They need it against Kentucky. They need it against Penn State. They need now a very physical 5 because Sam Alexis can't play 40 minutes a game. He can't play 35 minutes a game. If he could, he'd be out there, in my opinion. He's the one thing that, keeps this front court afloat at the moment. And that's a difficult spot to be in because Reed Bailey needs to get going. You need to get something out of him, especially with Josh Harris, obviously still sidelined with the foot injury. He's not anywhere near to coming back. Still not even warming up before games like we saw with Jason Drake, and then obviously Alexa Ristich. But that's the huge issue. It's the lack of physicality from Reed Bailey that sets the tone. And obviously,
and I agree with all that. But to me, that has to be or should have already been addressed. I mean, it's not like this is coming to a shock to anybody now. As far what are we 5 months these guys have been together? It's not like this is a
Yeah,
shock.
but again, you got to look at it, right? They weren't competing against anyone else for the first 3-4 months outside of themselves. So you don't have a huge gauge of where you fully sit from a physicality standpoint. And they got punched in the mouth twice down in Puerto Rico. Obviously, they were able to rebound from that and win both of those games. But they got punched in the mouth twice by the size and the physical play. They got punched in the mouth early against Baylor. They were able to rebound and win that exhibition. And it's not until you really get into now at this point, right, where you have now a trend. You see the last week, the last month of the season. You now go back to anything else in the preseason, but now you have a full trend of what's happening, and it's consistent. Unfortunately for Reed Bailey, I think there needs to be something addressed with either Sam Alexis starts. I don't necessarily think that's the issue because Sam Alexis has been coming in 3 minutes into the game, and typically Indiana's not getting off to slow starts. So I don't necessarily think, for people who think that's going to change anything, I don't think that's the problem. I think you just need to really, honestly, try to play both of these guys a little bit more. Play Reed Bailey at the 4, see what you can get, because I think he's good enough offensively at the 4 to do some things versatility wise, but he just can't bang with the 5s in the paint, and he's struggling offensively. So if you're not getting anything on the defensive glass from Reed Bailey, and he's not doing anything offensively on the other hand, then where are you getting the value from him? And so there needs to be a tweak, and I think it needs to be playing these guys more, Sam Alexis and Reed Bailey, more together. I think you have to try it out against maybe not, who knows if, how big Louisville's going to go. They obviously play a lot of 3 and 4 perimeter oriented guys, but you need to try it out before you get into Big Ten play a little bit, because that's the only answer I have right now to what's obviously a horrendous defensive rebounding team.
Yeah, and it's something that they're going to have to get rectified, because this is a serious issue that could lead to losses to teams they shouldn't lose to. Early on, I thought this was going to be a team that surprised us, that beat some teams they weren't supposed to beat. Now I'm wondering if they're going to lose to teams they're not supposed to lose to.
Well, they were already going to do that, because I mean they're playing with fire now with how much they rely on the 3. Now again, they're still a lot of those shots I don't think necessarily were bad shots. The 3s that they take, you'll get the couple forced ones by Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson every once in a while, the ones that are 6-7 feet beyond the 3-point line that probably shouldn't be taken. But for the most part, I mean, a lot of these 3s that they miss are not that forced. I think, Minnesota had a terrific game plan defensively and really kind of locked up what they were trying to do with Wilkerson and DeVries. And I think, look, I mean, Darren DeVries is a really good X's and O's coach. He will figure it out. So people who are, already, looking for the next head coaching candidate are jumping obviously way ahead of themselves and are the types of fans that I think are a little bit naive to everything college basketball related in this program. But the biggest thing that they need to do is find a way to start to run more of this offense through Tayton Connerway more consistently. He's the guy that gets this team going. His speed and his ability to create off of the bounce is nothing like anyone else on this team right now. And you see he gets in the paint whenever he wants. And I think you need to force him to be a little bit more aggressive early on in games consistently now to really open up things and force the defense to collapse a little bit, and then allow for a little bit more of those kickouts, because you're struggling to get the clean looks that you would like. Again, I don't think they're bad looks. They're just not as clean as they used to be in the first 5-6 games. The second thing is they went away the last couple of games from the wing on wing ball screen action. They did that religiously early on in the season with DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson. And even Tayton Connerway was involved a little bit in that, but specifically with DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson, one of the two coming up on a ball screen and either just popping or slipping it. And they were terrific at that. We saw a little bit of that in the second half where they would try to bring Wilkerson over for a ball screen, but he would obviously just read the defense over helping and then just backdoor cut. And he had like 5 possessions in a row where he was able to get to the rim, got blocked on 2 of them. But again, I think it goes back to the root of the issue on both ends of the floor coming out of the Minnesota game was the lack of toughness that they had, not just from a front court perspective, but even from a perimeter aspect. I mean, they got blocked 7 times to a Minnesota team that had 10 blocks in the previous 4 games combined. It's not something that should ever happen to a team that's really not long and super athletic offensively or defensively. And their inability to get by players, and then their inability to keep guys in front. Every single 2-point field goal that Minnesota made was in the paint. That can't happen. Shot, I think, 41. We got 41% of their points on the night from inside the paint. And that just shows a lack of toughness on that end of the floor. So on both ends, it stems from lack of physical play, and they need to get that figured out ASAP, moving obviously into what is now an absolutely critical 3-game stretch going into the end of the year.
Yeah, because when you get into Big Ten play, it's going to be kind of like playing football. When you look up at the top right now in ESPN's power rankings, if you look at the top, you're going to see something very similar to football with the Big Ten and the number 1 and number 2 slots. Michigan jumps up to number 1, Purdue number 2. And this is a Michigan team that hadn't played well together at the beginning of the season because they were new. But, man, all that stuff comes up later. But I still think this team is ahead of where they were a year ago, 2 years ago, as far as these games, these non-conference games. You've got the Kansas State game. Marquette, not a great team, of course, but there's a non-con win. They've got some non-con wins that look better on paper than they probably really are, but at least they have that going for them. The Big Ten may be a little deeper this year, so that may help them in that regard. As far as the end of the season, bubble watch and all that stuff, their metrics numbers are better, way better, way ahead of where they were. Yes. And so that's not going to be if you're trying to compare the teams of a year or 2 ago, man, they were on the freaking the borderline of life and death the whole time from the beginning, where this team is like, they've got a nice little margin for themselves right now. Not that you can just live on that, but it's night and day difference between what we've seen.
It absolutely is, right? And I think that's the one thing that, again, I think everyone got way too ahead of themselves after the first couple of games, right? When they were shooting 50% and hitting 14 threes a game, and the offense looked incredible. I think they got a little bit ahead of themselves after the Kansas State win as well, right? They're getting way too low on this team after the Minnesota loss, which, again, I'm not taking anything away from that Minnesota loss because that was an absolutely egregious performance in a couple different areas, but there has to be a good middle ground, right? And I think water always finds its level, and I think people were a little too high early on. People are a little too low now. This team is going to win games that they shouldn't. This team's probably going to lose a couple of games that they shouldn't. But I think all things considered, right? The first month of the season, I think this was the 4th best start by an IU head coach in his first year, right? Or whatever the stat was there, starting 7-0. I think this team's fine. They never were going to be a 25-win team. They were always going to be kind of a middle of the pack Big Ten team, if not maybe slightly ahead of that. But I think the big thing, and people are going to say, well, why did we get rid of Mike Woodson when that's exactly what we were the previous 4 years? Well, biggest thing is they're typically not going to struggle to blow out teams, and the metrics are going to be significantly better. So when you are, quote unquote, on the bubble, right, it's going to be a lot friendlier to you in a situation like potentially this year could be, because they already have what you were saying, that significant margin and room for error with a lot of these blowout wins to kind of elevate some of the statistics and, the Ken Palm rankings and anything else like that from a metrics perspective. But it comes down to, I think, really the next 3 games are, I think, going to determine a lot about where this team sits and what the true expectations are. And this 4-game stretch always was going to do that. But I think there's now a heightened level of urgency to go into Saturday and, yes, obviously win, but play significantly better and see a team that, fans saw for the first 6-7 games rather than Minnesota, because, if they drop 2 in a row here, it puts a lot of pressure to win that Kentucky game, a Kentucky team that is not in the tournament as of today. So who knows what that win looks like 3 months from now if they're able to win at Rupp. Obviously, that's going to be a game that Kentucky has to have. They play Gonzaga tonight. They're potential of losing 2 in a row to Carolina and Gonzaga. They still have St. John's. So they could theoretically, lose every single notable non-conference game that they have. And it's not like the SEC is a cakewalk. So that win could be looking a lot different if they're able to go in there. If that's a loss, that's, you look at your non-conference, and quite honestly, that would be a fat L from a non-conference perspective. Because you don't win either of the 2 notable games that you had. Marquette's not a tournament team, and Kansas State just lost to I can't remember who it was, but a very bad non-conference loss that they just had last week. So the non-conference schedule is shaping up to be way weaker than kind of what it looked like coming in. So they need to grab Louisville or Kentucky, and then obviously defend home court and win against Penn State next week after this Louisville game.
And I'm impressed with some of the schedules that some of these Big Ten teams have played early on. Michigan State, Saturday, they take on number 4 Duke at noon on Fox. Well, they've already played and beaten Arkansas, number 14 Arkansas, who just beat Louisville, number 12 Kentucky, number 16 North Carolina, Iowa, and now they got Duke. They could stop playing today and wait until March for their invitation to the NCAA tournament.
No, look, I'm extremely impressed with Michigan State early on, because they're not just beating teams, they're wearing down teams with their physical play. You want to talk about physical play, right? If Indiana went into Michigan State on Wednesday instead of Minnesota, they probably would have lost by 25. I mean, that's a different level of physical play and physicality that Michigan State. I mean, they always bring that, right? But they are a hell of a team, and I'm extremely impressed with what Tom Izzo's done with this group. Brings in a couple transfers, but for the most part, right, the core is still the same core from the previous 2 seasons. So he's done a phenomenal job, right, keeping the main kind of culture setters there in place. And Michigan State, Michigan, in my opinion, kind of look like the 2 top teams in the Big Ten at this moment. I think Purdue still has some question marks to figure out, but the top of the Big Ten is as dominant as ever, in my opinion, especially with what they're doing in non-conference play. And now we'll see kind of what happens. Should be I think if you're ever looking at the Big Ten to win a national championship again, this could be the year. But we'll see. Obviously, it's barely a month into the season. It's always fun to talk about hypotheticals.
It is crazy. But I will say this is a big weekend. I know we've talked about this gigantic weekend in Indianapolis with the Big Ten championship, Indiana playing Louisville in basketball and all that. But Big Ten men's basketball, 4 top 20 matchups. Iowa State, number 10, at number 1 Purdue. So there's going to be a good matchup. I mentioned number 4 Duke at number 7 Michigan State. You've got number 6 Louisville in Indianapolis against the current number 22 Indiana. Then you have number 14 Illinois at number 13 Tennessee. So there's 4 great games this weekend. But
and Gonzaga, Kentucky tonight in Nashville.
Nobody cares about Gonzaga and nobody cares about Kentucky. Just kidding. Kentucky up next. I mean, is that a winnable game? We saw North Carolina went in there and won. So, hey, we've got to take a break. ALec Lasley from thehoosier.com is with us. More to talk about. The Big Ten Championship tomorrow, Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the other side of this break. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. It is Championship Friday, as the Big Ten Football Championship happens tomorrow evening, 8 p.m., Lucas Oil Stadium. Man, Indianapolis is going to be popping tomorrow. ALec Lasley from thehoosier.com with us, and there's going to be so many people there, ALec, that aren't even going to the games probably.
Oh yeah, no, you look at, crazy busy weekends in Indianapolis. I mean, this has to be up there, and definitely the level of excitement is even heightened than normal crazy weekends, since you have all IU. So, I mean, it's going to be a heck of a, 48 hours here, starting today, with everything going on from basketball to football to everything in between. And then all the other people just coming down and taking in the weekend. I mean, it's going to be an incredible atmosphere. Absolutely.
Well, and it could just continue to grow. And I'm not even talking about wins on the field. Of course, the Big Ten Championship, that would be a gigantic win on the field. It would just eclipse anything that we could have imagined. Anything the fans could have dreamed up. Even I'll be honest with you, I didn't see all of this as a possibility this year. I knew they were going to be better than they were last year, and I openly said that all the time. I still did not foresee this level of it being able to go this far. I guess mainly because it's hard to envision the impossible. It's hard to envision what has never happened, when your brain is saying, look, I know that it would be cool if you saw that, but it's never happened. So get it out of your mind. Well, guess what? That never happened stuff in college athletics, out the door now. And it's fun, not just for Indiana. It's fun for Vanderbilt. It's fun for the teams that aren't there, that want to be there, that can be. They're like going, hey, we don't have to be LSU. We don't have to be Ohio State. We can be Indiana. We can be Vanderbilt. So it's amazing, I think, for what we have ahead of us.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, this is why, and I think it should stay this way for the at least near future. But the 12-team playoff, I think, just changes everything from a program level, a mediocre program, to like just like what you're talking about with Vanderbilt. I mean, this is now a program that doesn't have to go swing for the fences and bring in, a Nick Saban, a Lane Kiffin type personality and head coach to take them to a national championship game, because now with the 12-team playoff, they can sneak in and potentially go on a run. I mean, this is why I think the 12 teams is the perfect amount. You look at anything outside of the top. I mean, I think this year probably outside of the top 5, 6. I mean, maybe you go a little bit deeper, but this year I think it's a little bit top heavy in comparison to previous years. I mean, you looked last year, and I thought you could probably have 6 teams that could have won the thing.
Nobody expected Ohio State to win the national championship when they lost their last game to Michigan.
Yeah, no, and I think they lost 2 out of the last 3 years, or 2 out of the last 4, because they lost earlier in that season as well. But the big thing with Indiana, right? I mean, this can just open up a lot of different doors, and I think that the biggest thing is the national respect. I still, this is not a feel good story, right? A Cinderella type story that was last year. And, Kurt Signetti talked about it. Some of the players talked about it, right? Where they went in last year. I think it was Aiden Fisher who said last year they went in specifically to that Ohio State game with the underdog mentality, right? They came in this year not expecting to be underdogs in any sort of game. And I think that mentality shift is what's driven, this level of success in year 2, because you have the core that was there for last year. You have the core that lost to Ohio State and lost to Notre Dame the way that they did in both of those. And it was just interesting because, Kurt Signetti talked about, I think it was on Sunday on the Big Ten teleconference there that we had, talked about, they didn't really mention or talk about the losses last year heading into the summer, heading into fall camp. But everyone who was on that team last year and all the coaches, it was still a thought in their mind. They remembered it. They knew what it tasted like. They knew what it felt like. They knew that was a lingering kind of asterisk on the last year's season. And so they came into this year with the full expectation that they were going to blow people away. And obviously they did that, but it's just interesting because a lot of people, when they have, significant negative moments like those 2 games last year, they would lean into that and lean on that for some level of more underdog success this year. And they didn't do that. And I think that if they did that, they would be fighting a different battle. They would be really just trying to navigate through the beating of Ohio State rather than the 1-0 mentality that they had every single week this year. And I think that was the big shift this summer specifically. And you've seen it. I mean, this is you talk about Ohio State having a business-like approach the last couple of years, and specifically this year and what they showed post Michigan last year. I don't think you can find a more business-like team than Indiana, right? The process and the detail-oriented scheme from top down. And I think it was Bob Bostad earlier this year on one of the radio shows talked about, how he's been around, obviously, in NFL, college for decades. And he's coached with a lot of coaches. He's never seen a staff in a head coach be so detail oriented that Kurt Signetti is. And I think that's the biggest thing, just the process, and everyone, right, likes to have a process. Everyone likes to have a consistent kind of routine, but I don't think you can find anyone who is down to the details that Kurt Signetti is. And that's obviously transformed this program into what it is now, where you got to wonder, and wonder is not even the right word, you got to expect almost at this point that regardless of what happens this year, regardless if they win on Saturday, if they win 1 or 2 games, or even go to the national championship game, regardless of what happens moving forward, I think you have the full expectation that this is now going to be a consistent top 10 program. Will they, be a top 2 team every single year? I mean, that's difficult to do, right, in any given year. But I think you now have enough of the groundwork here in place where you can look at this team and look at what he's done, assuming that he can continue to retain, his staff members. This is now a program that's ready to snowball and ready to really kickstart, I think, the Indiana brand. And obviously a win on Saturday would expedite that, but I don't necessarily think they have to win to do that. I think they have to win one out of their next 2 games to do that, right? They can't lose on Saturday and then lose their first round game in the college football playoff to maintain that level of kind of national respect or national brand after season 2. But I think either way, right, as long as you get one of them, I think everything can get put to rest about what this team, what this program is, and where they're going to go here in the future. Because not a lot of teams win in postseason play in the college football playoff, right? So if they're able to do that, or if they're able to win a Big Ten championship and beat an undefeated Ohio State, the reigning national champion, who everyone's talking about as, having 2 Heisman candidates, when in all reality, right, I think it's barely one. I think that's a phenomenal, story to kind of jumpstart then what could be the new national brand of college football.
Absolutely. And Indiana right in the mix of that. And speaking of the Heisman Trophy, what would that do to further propagate this? I mean, first of all, Indiana as a story is still, we don't want to look at it as a Cinderella story right now anymore, but it is. I don't care what anybody says. They're still 1 year away removed from being the losingest program in Division I history and aren't that far from it still. But they're not there anymore. And not only have they changed their path, you're looking at the potential of adding a Heisman Trophy winner now. Man, what is that going to do for the line of quarterbacks that will be in the transfer portal come January 2nd? Knowing Indiana is going to be in need of the next Fernando.
It's not even that. I mean, yes, obviously a Heisman Trophy winner does wonders, but Fernando Mendoza is going to be not just a first-round draft pick. I mean, he theoretically could be the number 1 overall pick, depending on who gets it too. So you could go from, if you want to play kind of the Cinderella story that I think last year was a Cinderella story. I don't think this is still a Cinderella story, because Cinderella story seems to be short-lived, in my opinion. I think that was what last year was. So I think this year cements Indiana is kind of a team that's going to be in the national conversation, again, consistently here moving forward. But you go 2 years removed from being the losingest program to having when was the last time, and maybe it was more recent, but off the top of my head, I can't remember the last time Indiana had just a top 10 Heisman candidate in Curtis Rourke, a guy who came from the MAC level, finished 9th in the Heisman voting last year, right? Played on one leg for the majority of that year. Then you go to this year. Obviously, you make the college football playoff, right? Then you go to this year, a lot of people counting you out. Bring in who obviously, Georgia and Miami both wanted Fernando Mendoza, right? You're able to beat both of those schools out. You're able to continue to the level of success that you had last year, but even build off of it drastically. Go undefeated in the regular season, have the first 2 double-digit seasons in program history in Kurt Cignetti's first 2 years, and then you have a potential Heisman winner, Big Ten champion, who knows what happens moving forward, and a potential top 5, top 3, number 1 overall draft pick. I mean, that's absurd in the whole grand scheme of things, and that's what theoretically could happen moving forward. So, I mean, the biggest thing though is that they're not going to look ahead, and we enjoy talking about all the other storylines, and the Caleb Downs versus Fernando Mendoza, the Tom Brady, Ed Reed comparison that got so much flack earlier this week by I think it was an Ohio State reporter, and everything that went into that. But you have that storyline, you have the Heisman candidates, the top 2 that a lot of people think and saying in Mendoza. Obviously, Indiana, one of the most losingest programs in college football history, versus Ohio State, one of the most successful. You have the offensive lineman of the year in Carter Smith, defensive player of the year in Caleb Downs, offensive player of the year in Fernando Mendoza. I think Ohio State got the linebacker of the year, right? So every kind of storyline, but for the potential number one overall seed in the college football playoff. I mean, there are so many storylines, but the good thing about this Indiana team is they're not going to just look at that. They are 100% focused on obviously what's at stake, and that's just winning one game. And I think they're going to be focused. I do think Indiana has more than what it takes to win on Saturday.
And then the funny thing is, doesn't matter if they win or lose this game. None of it matters, because the big prize is after that. And even if they lose this game, they're going to stay in the top 4. They're going to get a bye, win, lose, or draw. Now, do they drop to 2 or to 3 or to even 4? Well, they won't drop to 4. They're not going to put Indiana and Ohio State back in the same bracket. So I think they either move up to 1 or go to 3, I think.
Well, I think the big thing is right where Oregon fell, because there's no way Oregon's going to jump Indiana.
Right.
So if that were to happen, right, then look, the biggest thing that a lot of people are talking about is do both of these teams deserve a bye? Absolutely. No, regardless of what happens, because if you lose in a conference championship game, then what's the point of playing the regular season to get to this point? You're going to devalue a conference championship if these two teams don't get a bye. And then who's going to look at wanting to play in a conference title game? That would make absolutely zero sense. And the committee, I think, would be setting a very, very dangerous precedent if that were to happen. But who knows? NCAA college football playoff, they've done crazier things in the past. So we'll see.
A lot of this coaching cycle we've seen that's still going on. Well, the one that cracks me up is Kalen DeBoer having to even comment on the fact of not having interest in leaving Alabama to become Penn State's head coach. Anybody that even suggested that is a moron, an absolute moron, I think. But then you've got something else of note. Oregon has lost both its offensive and defensive coordinators already to other jobs. We've seen a lot of coordinators. Ohio State
Brian
has
Harlan.
lost.
Yeah.
Yep, Ohio State has lost one of theirs. Now, even when they coach in these games, and we've still seen a lot of the times it ends up having an effect, because while they're there on game day, they're not there during all the preparation. They're not there during all the game prep. And that has an impact. We saw that with Indiana against Ole Miss and some other things. When guys were leaving, it makes a difference on teams.
No, it does. I mean, look, and going from a coordinator role to a head coach during National Signing Day and National Signing Week, that's difficult enough while you're preparing for a championship game. Obviously, some of the other programs, if they lose these head coaches, right, or these assistants, they have a week or two because they're not playing in a conference title game, right? Like Oregon. But difficult nonetheless. I think it's going to be, interesting to see the dynamic here moving into Saturday and how, what happens. What do people talk about if that offense from Ohio State doesn't look as sharp? I think it's another interesting, obviously, storyline and narrative to play into it. But I think either way, they're going to be in it.
We'll see you there. ALec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Go get a subscription now. Get entered into the grand prize giveaway and all of that. I'll talk more about that a little later on. ALec, appreciate you, sir.
Appreciate it, Jim. See you tomorrow.
Absolutely. More coming up on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course. Up next, Zach Osterman will join us. Later on, we've got Matt Taylior, Clayton Anderson as well. Squeezing everything into today from what we missed yesterday. Back with more right after these messages. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday, a huge Friday as we're heading into Championship Saturday in Indianapolis. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star, IU Insider for the Star, joins me now. Zachary, how's your week been, sir?
It's been busy. How about yours?
It's been busy, and but a lot of fun. Looking forward to this with all that's going on, not just the Big Ten Championship, of course, the basketball game, all the other games that are happening this weekend to keep an eye on to see who's going to end up where. So there's just so much going on. It's information overload right now.
Yeah, no, it feels a little bit like that, but we'll have clarity soon enough.
No doubt, no doubt. Of course, Indiana basketball taking on Louisville early in the day at 2:00 at Gamebridge, and both teams coming off of losses. Indiana's a little more unexpected, I guess, up at Minnesota, while Louisville lost to Arkansas, who was a ranked team, but not the start that Indiana was looking for in Big Ten play, but they certainly got a dose of what they're going to expect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone would sugarcoat it. That was not a good loss for Indiana. Both obviously the just the sheer result and what Minnesota will and won't be from a resume perspective this season, and then also I think elements of the performance that maybe leave you questioning whether this team had progressed quite to the degree that maybe we thought at one point. So, I mean, end of the day, if you're Indiana, you need to be able to pick yourself up from this, and you kind of need to turn it around quick, because you got Louisville, you got one more Big Ten game, and then you got Kentucky. The next week is, I think, going to be very important to the trajectory of Indiana's season.
Yeah, and we kind of start getting back into the conversations that were had of recent seasons of having those quality non-con wins, which Indiana has. They've got a couple of wins. I don't know the quality; those are yet to be told. But the Big Ten may offer more opportunities than it has in the last couple of years for this team to still come around and make its bones later on.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, Indiana's going to have plenty of opportunity for quality wins. It's obviously, if you're Darren DeVries, probably a little bit frustrating that Marquette has turned out to be what it has been so far. And I think the best you can hope for is maybe that team kind of pulls some things together in the new year. It is not necessarily a young team, but A lot of guys kind of stepping into new roles for Shaka Smart kind of all at once, and I think you can see that with some of Marquette's recent results. And if you're Indiana, you hope that maybe as time goes on, um, those players settle in and that win gets better. But in the meantime, you can control, at least to a certain extent, what you get out of Louisville this Saturday and Kentucky next Saturday. To be completely honest, like the bottom of the Big Ten doesn't look great right now. Minnesota's part of that, so Indiana's kind of got to reckon with that too. But you look at Penn State, potentially Washington, Oregon does not look great right now. There will be quality in the Big Ten certainly, but any win Indiana can add away from Assembly Hall right now is going to make a world of difference.
Absolutely. And for Indiana fans, what a great day it's going to be. And win, lose, or draw in the basketball game, I know that they'd love to win that, of course, for the fans. But you're looking forward to, I guess, still the biggest night, even though they played in the Rose Bowl. This still seems bigger to me because there's still bigger things yet to come. But just the moment taking on Ohio State, one of those names that just has resonated throughout the sport, with an opportunity to not only, they've already announced their presence, but to actually announce their presence as someone to be a formidable opponent for these national titles going forward.
It is certainly in the running for the biggest game in program history. I think to your point, there's an element of maybe enjoying the day, that is kind of independent. I mean, you think about how many cities, how many fan bases could even legitimately hope for this opportunity, that they would be able to, that the major metropolitan area that they're kind of based around would host a conference championship game, that they have the wherewithal to schedule such a high level basketball game the same day in the same city. I mean, it is a very unusual confluence of circumstances. And I think it's going to be a special day for Indiana fans. Obviously, they're going to hope for at least one win, if not two. And it will probably feel a little bit different if Indiana goes 0 for 2. But it's going to be a fascinating and fun kind of environment, because the other thing that's worth saying is all three of these fan bases are going to turn out well. I mean, downtown Indy is going to be full to bursting. Louisville's obviously only 2 hours away. Ohio State's about 2.5, 3 hours away. This isn't going to be like last year where I think get-in price was under $20 for the Big Ten championship game, and Oregon fans were, justifiably saving their money for other trips in the playoff. This is going to be a very, very busy day in downtown Indianapolis.
Absolutely. I spoke earlier. Just think of the thousands of people, Zach, that will be coming that aren't going to either game, that are just coming for the atmosphere that they know is going to be going on.
Yeah, I mean, and you're going to get people who probably come in hoping they can get tickets. And again, I mean, all these fan bases are, so nearby here, and there are obviously a lot of IU grads in Chicago, a lot of Ohio State grads in Chicago. We can pull from other cities that I think will probably populate the town a little bit, Cincinnati, et cetera. It is just going to be, I think, a really fun day. I think it's obviously Indiana fans kind of get the double dip, and it'll be interesting to kind of see what the dynamic is like downtown in the morning, and how things evolve as the day goes on. But if you're a Louisville fan driving up for the game, if you can get a hotel, and that's probably a separate conversation. But if you could swing it, why wouldn't you hang around and just enjoy kind of the atmosphere of, again, what is what is going to feel, I suspect, for a lot of people, like a unique experience.
Absolutely, because you can sit back and watch the fan bases of two teams just go at it for the entire day, and don't have to you don't have to worry about losing after that game's over with. So, but the big game, of course, the Big Ten championship. So much on the line there, Zach. With that, not only the Big Ten championship, not only respectability for Indiana, the Heisman Trophy, the #1 seed in the college football playoff. I mean, there is more riding on this game than any other championship game, without question, that'll be played this weekend or this season.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would go quite that far. I mean, like the ACC
conference games. Well, there's
yeah. I mean, like the ACC might wind up that team in the playoff if Duke wins that game.
Boy, that would be
I mean,
wonderful.
there's some win and in situations. Virginia, BYU. I think probably the winner of the at this point, based on the rankings, the winner of the American is probably in a win and in situation. I think that's Tulane, North Texas, if memory serves. And if you want a party, Tulane could win its way into the college football playoff in New Orleans. So as much as we're talking about Indy being a party, if you and I were to sail down the Mississippi and witness a green wave win in New Orleans that puts them in the college football playoff, that would be a party of an entirely different complexion. But no, I mean, listen, I've felt for a while like one of the fascinating things about this game, and we had to get both teams here at 12-0. But to me, one of the fascinating things about this game is just that neither team really has a lot at stake. And so I know that has led to some, this is the devaluing of the conference championship games and can we do better and yada, yada. The flip side, though, is these two teams get to play without anything to lose. And I think that is, we've wanted 1 versus 2 all year. This is the first 1 versus 2 in a conference championship game since I think 2009. It's the first one in the Big Ten since 2006. But those games all came with an element of peril. Now, listen, that can make it fun too. That can make it, something that really sort of, amps up the stakes and the pressure and the tension and the spectacle. But sometimes that, quite frankly, can also just lead to a not very good game because everybody's playing tight, everybody's playing conservative, nobody wants to make a mistake. These teams don't have to worry about that. And so what we're going to get is 1 versus 2, and everybody's going to be happy to take a risk. Everybody's going to be, comfortable kind of letting it all hang out, metaphorically speaking. And I suspect that is going to lead to a really fun game in the end.
I certainly hope, because if we look at the stats, Zach, and I've looked at them exhaustively, I don't know that there's ever been I'm sure there's ever been, but not in recent memory, teams that are this closely matched statistically. They've been ranked next to each other all year long. They're in the same conference. They're coming down to play each other. I mean, this is like the perfect storm. And you would think the Big Ten would just be, man, the king of that mountain. And they may end up being that with the national championship. But as a conference right now, I know I was reading something that SEC, rankings-wise, ratings-wise, TVs, boy, there's just massive difference.
Yeah, and the Big Ten's obviously also going to have that Saturday night slot, not all to itself. I think the ACC championship might be at the same time. And so you'll probably get some people flipping over if that gets, if that almost becomes kind of a rogues gallery of a game. And now it's worth pointing out Virginia beat Duke pretty handily, I think, in Durham during the regular season. So there's every chance that that's a comfortable Virginia win and there's no real drama there. But I mean, I'm not trying to be flippant. People are going to be watching the ACC championship game to laugh at the ACC, not because it's ultra compelling television. They're going to be watching the Big Ten championship game because college football has circled this basically since Indiana beat Oregon and said, these might very well be the two best teams in the country, and they won't play during the regular season because these conferences have gotten so bloated and grown so out of control. The best we can do is get them on a neutral field in a dome in Indianapolis, where both fan bases are going to turn out, so well, and the atmosphere is going to be incredible. In some respects, this is, and the Big Ten has had some pretty good conference championship games, and it's had even some decent sort of matchups. Like last year's game was a lot of fun to watch. And this was in part because of the way the Big Ten was structured, with all of its sort of power concentrated in the East. It never felt like we really, or it rarely felt, I should say, it rarely felt like we really got a sort of powerhouse matchup in the Big Ten championship the way we are used to in the SEC championship, where you get Alabama, Georgia, or Alabama, Florida, or, LSU, Georgia, or LSU, Florida, something like that. We are like, I think this is only the third top 5 matchup in the history of this game. Last year was one of the others. You're going to get, again, like the fan turnout is going to be excellent. The atmosphere in the city building up on the day is going to be excellent. And I mean, this is hyperbole to an extent. I wouldn't be shocked if we come out of this saying that might have been the best Big Ten championship game there's been. And listen, the game's not that old. I think the first one was 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. But I think there's every chance that we, between the spectacle, the attendance, the atmosphere, and the game on the field, I think there's every chance we come out of this with, find ourselves saying this was the best Big Ten championship game we've ever seen.
Certainly looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow as well, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me as always, Jim.
Zach Osterman, IU insider for the Indy Star. We've got more coming up. Matt Taylior with the Colts will join us next. They take on the Jags on Sunday. They need to get back on the winning path. Back with more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, FreeThink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. FreeThink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. FreeThink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what FreeThink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday, Championship Friday, heading into the Big Ten Championship game at Lucas Oil Stadium on Saturday. Someone normally there, going to have to go on the road this week. Our friend Matt Taylior has the Colts traveling down south. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Buzzing better, that'd be Matt Taylor.
Oh, heck yeah. Not busy weekend for you, buddy. Let's go.
Busy for a lot of people. Absolutely. The fans, Indiana basketball and football fans, they get to go to one spot. Indy's going to be hopping, baby. I mean, it's usually hopping. It's the best sports city in America, but this is something special, man. This is different, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the city, if you're like the Indiana Sports Corps, or if you're visit Indy, or you're a bar or restaurant owner, or you have steak and hotels downtown, man, you could not have envisioned a better outcome for this game with a local fan base that's one of the best in the country, that's starving for football success, that's there for the first time, playing in their backyard, an unbelievable fan base in Indianapolis as well. And then you have just one of the best fan bases in all of college football with the success that Ohio State has had. And it's very migratable, if you will, 3 hours from Columbus. Plus, it's kind of a national brand. There's a lot of Ohio State fans in the Midwest as well that are going to be infiltrating Indianapolis. So, there's not going to be a hotel room to be had, not a open bar stool anywhere downtown. And that's how it should be, man. This is going to be I'm jealous that you're going to be able to be there. I'm not going to be there. But, this is going to be just an amazing event and a magical day for the city of Indianapolis, with the basketball game and then the football game going on simultaneously on the same day.
Yeah, the only thing that could have made this a little bit better is that, can you imagine if your Colts would have had a home game on Sunday to add into this menu of sports cornucopia? Could they get the stadium turned around that quickly? I'm sure they could.
Well, that's why we're never home. So in fact, they can't. There's not enough time to turn it around. There's just that event's just too big, and there's too much involved in it, to get the field turned around in that short order with the end zones and the field and the goalposts and the cleanup. It's just too much. So I know one thing for sure. In my life, I know where I'm not going to be on the first weekend of December every year, and that's home. So we have never, the Colts, since that game's been played, since the Big Ten championship game's been played in Indy, the Colts have never been home that weekend. So again, I know where I'm not going to be in December on the first weekend, and that's at home for a game to watch that game. And it's never been a problem. Like, I've never had an issue with it until this year, because my team obviously has never been in it. So it's very regrettable that I won't be able to see it with my own two eyes. Because if I was home, there's no question I'd find a way to get inside that building.
Oh, you wouldn't have much trouble. And you mentioned the field changes. For those people who don't understand, the field's the same size. It's the markings, in essence. And specifically, well, besides your goalpost, the goalpost in the NFL, much higher. And in college, if you kick the ball and it goes over the goalpost, Matt, it's no good. Doesn't matter if it looks like it's in. If it goes over, I think it's no good. But then the hash marks in the NFL, they're pretty much to keep them right in the center. College football, you can move out wider. Why they do that? I don't know. Why don't they adopt the NFL model? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to. Like, it's a huge undertaking to not only do you have to change the hash marks, but you got to change the numbers too.
Right? I was going to say, what about the numbers is changed?
Well, the numbers are always, it doesn't matter if it's NFL or college football or high school football, the numbers are always halfway between the hash marks and the sideline. So that's a huge difference between college football and the NFL. So the numbers in football are actually much closer to the middle of the field than in college football, which are closer to the sideline because the hash marks are further spaced out. So not only again, like people say, well, why can't you do both games, on Saturday and Sunday? Well, there's just the field is a huge undertaking. I mean, you got to change the end zones. You have to grind out all of that paint, and you got to, swap in different layers of field turf that go to the Colts field as compared to a makeshift game like this, kind of a one-off for the Big Ten championship. And I think the biggest thing is the load in and load out is such a huge undertaking. I mean, I mean, people don't realize the equipment staff. I mean, I think it's kind of that would be an injustice for the college football teams to ask them to be out of there as soon as the game is over, load out all of their stuff, and then you've got two NFL teams waiting to get in, and not being able to get in there and set up their stuff, at earliest midnight the night before a game. For those that don't know, I mean, most equipment staffs are there the day before the game, setting up all of the locker room stuff and making sure that stuff's squared away, a full afternoon ahead of time.
I didn't think about the benches.
Well,
all the bench stuff is different.
The bench stuff is different. And I just think, too, you're talking about 70,000 fans out the door, and then you're getting ready for 70,000 more in the door, 12 hours later. Yeah, well, you got concession stand refills and garbage cleanup. It's just, and then, stuff that's going on in the production room. Like you got digital software that you have to change out from the college football presentation to the NFL presentation, a different set of people that do that. So again, there's a lot of behind the scenes things logistically that go into why that can't take place back to back.
How do they get the paint? Last question regarding this stuff. How do they get the paint off of the turf?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I've seen it done before, and I'm gonna dumb it down because I'm not an expert on it. But for lack of a better term, what they do is they grind it down with a special machine. It's almost like it looks like picture a 0-turn lawnmower with special equipment or special bristles underneath it that grind the paint down, and then that sort of gets dissolved and it gets cleared away after they run over it about 20 times, I'm sure, and then they have to bring out new sections and new layers of field turf that replace that part of the field, which are the end zones, and they bring in I guess it would be like the already put together and the already fixated Colts end zones, that say Colts and Indianapolis on either side of the field with those end zones. So again, that's kind of like I'm paraphrasing my eyeballs when I've seen it done in real time, but it's a much more sophisticated process than what I'm alluding to.
Yeah, it's so much. It's crazy. Don't have to worry about any of that. But I'm just curious. There's so much that goes on.
But I have seen those end zones be replaced. Going from college football to the Colts end zones, and I mean that takes about 50 people to orchestrate and do in real time, and it takes a long time too. It probably takes about an hour or two for those 50 people to get that stuff sewn back into place, if you will. Again, that's not the right word, but you get what I'm saying, aligned and put back into place and ready for play.
Well, the Colts may wish that they were getting that done because they're heading to Jacksonville, where they have lost 10 straight times. Now, we've seen them vanquish some of these demons already this season. Is this the next demon the Colts can vanquish? And it would be very timely if they can, Matt.
No question about it. I mean, you could argue this is the biggest regular season game in Jaguars history, certainly one of the biggest games in regular season history in recent memory for the Colts. You got 2 8-4 teams here inside the division, and you got, after this game on Sunday, only 4 games to play. This is a huge swing game for the Colts, right? The odds of them making the playoffs with a win on Sunday is about 86%. The odds of them making the playoffs with a loss on Sunday is about a coin flip, 50%. So this is a mega game in terms of ramifications, but it's also, like you said, it's a psychological game because the Colts have lost 3 of 4 as a franchise. They haven't won there since 2014. And you have 2 different types of 8-4. You got a surging 8-4 from the Jaguars, who've won 3 in a row. And the Colts are looking to kind of recapture that magic from earlier in the season. Not that long ago, they were 7-1. And, they had a 2.5 game lead inside the AFC South. Well, whoops, that's all gone now. And now you're kind of fighting for your life. And we're going to see what this team is made of here with 5 games to go. And we're going to see, how they stack up when they, face adversity right in the face. No pun intended.
Right into face, into face, into face. Boy, movie reference, Coming to America.
Into face.
Into face. That's the only talent I have in the world is memorization of short blips of useless knowledge.
You and me both. You and me both, brother. Yeah.
Useless knowledge.
I'm not sure I talk sometimes if I didn't have movie quotes.
Matty Tay. There we go. How about that little nickname? The Colts, they've got to get back on it. They were just rolling at the start of the year, and things have got to change. Kind of reminds me of Indiana. Indiana was just killing. Part of that is people they get more of you on tape, more things to watch for, more things to study, more things to prepare for, more things to throw at you. So that's part of professional sports, part of sports period now. But this is probably perfect timing because now they've got time to reacclimate and then get things going back in the direction they need to be as they get headed towards the playoffs.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, the biggest thing is they've got to reestablish, two things. They have to reestablish Jonathan Taylor because he's under 90 rushing yards in all three of their last three losses, I should say. But the biggest thing, they have to be able to find a way to gash the pressure they're seeing from opposing defenses because it's going to be a facsimile of what the Falcons and the Chiefs and the Texans have done recently. And until you show you can beat it, you're going to continue to see it. And
I think we lost Matt there for a second, and whenever he can rejoin us, he will. We'll get him back on here in a second. So, reestablish Taylor. You can't reestablish Taylor until you can reestablish Jones, and we can't reestablish either until we reestablish Matt. There you go. Maybe not. I don't think he knows we lost him. So, big weekend coming. Big weekend for the Colts, too. They need to get this game going. Matty Tay almost joined us there for a second. Go ahead. If you're talk away, I'll let you know when we hear you, brother. And run the damn ball, Gritty says. Well, there you go.
All right, Jim. I'll talk to you soon, brother. I got to run. Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend. Appreciate you as always.
You too.
Matt Taylor from the Colts. Make sure you're giving him a listen on Sunday as the Colts take on the Jaguars. Getting back on the winning side. Appreciate Matt joining us each week as he does. Just a big football weekend. Big weekend, sports weekend. Let's see, where am I? These other games. Who's going to do what? Who's going to determine who's playing whom? Indiana's not falling out of the top four. Period. We know that. And I think that if they lose, they'll likely end up in Miami now. We've talked about this, but we'll know Sunday, period. So there's no point in prognosticating and all of that. We'll know in 2 days. So does Notre Dame get in? Dusty Banner's wanting to know. Great question. I don't know. I think that all depends on whether or not Duke beats Virginia. If Virginia beats Duke, keeps Duke out, maybe they both get in. The SEC, they can kind of screw things up with Alabama being ranked so much further down below everyone else outside of those bye slots, which if they win the SEC, you're not guaranteed a bye, which is fine. It's just, we'll just wait till Sunday. We'll drive ourselves crazy figuring it all out. Man. Russell says, FYI, they hired the janitors from Buckingham Palace to take the 5 banners down at Simon Scott Assembly Hall and dusted them. Well, I don't know where in the world Russell comes up with his bits of information, but some of it just really amazes me that it's even a thing. Jamie says, outside of Mendoza, who does IU need to step up and be the X factor to tilt the advantage to Indiana? That's actually a great question. Great question. It's not a who, it's a what. Indiana's defensive line, to me, is going to be the story. Can they get to Julian Sayin? You don't have to sack him. Rush him, hurry him. Get him off balance. Get him out of his comfort zone. There are things that they can do. But I think that is going to be, Indiana has to run. Indiana's other groups have to do what they have to do. The quarterback's got to be Fernando Mendoza needs to have a Heisman day. The receivers need to step up. There's no reason not to expect that they won't. Why won't they? Charlie Becker did. Elijah Sherrod is, come on. Omar Cooper. Defense. The defensive line has got to get to Julian Sayin. And that is going to make or break the game, in my opinion. For Ohio State, kind of the same thing. They have to stop Indiana's run game. I don't think they can let Indiana, well, no, they can't, run wild and then not expect to get thrown on all over the place. So, Fred says that Ohio State headquarters bar in Indy is said to be the Slippery Noodle. Why would y'all allow someone like that to come in and take a place like that over? That's okay. More coming up. Clayton Anderson should be joining us next. Back with more after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, on this Friday,
Championship Friday, baby. Ready to get after it tomorrow. There's going to be a ton going on in Indianapolis. Clayton Anderson about to join us here in a second. Sounds good, brother. And he'll be on here with us. We'll be stopping into Clayton's Country Bar in between games up in Indianapolis on tomorrow, of course, in between games, as a little basketball post-game show, football pre-game show. Clayton's got him a new bar up there in Indianapolis. Of course, most of you should know Clayton Anderson, the well-known country singer, based in Nashville now, but originally from Bedford. I can see he still lives in Bedford. Splits time between the two. So, but looking forward to all of that. It's just going to be a nonstop cornucopia of things going on. Speaking of sports, Oregon mentioned they've lost both of their coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinators. Now they'll have them for the game, but does that? I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but you've got Ole Miss who won't have their head coach, their previous head coach. So there's just all kinds of stuff that's going on this weekend, but none bigger than what's going to be happening at Clayton's Country Bar in Indianapolis on Saturday, baby. I didn't even know this was a thing until recently. I'm going to have to get one of those hats, I guess. Nice trucker hat there.
It's probably the craziest thing I've ever tried. You know, they say, well, I could have picked something easier to do, but hey, let's go try country music, and then when you get in a record deal snare, let's go open a country bar.
Well, how did that come about? Because that's with all the things that I know you have to be working on with writing and about tour traveling and all that stuff. I mean, opening up a bar, that just doesn't. I mean, a lot of guys have done that, but
yeah, I think a lot of people in Nashville have their name on a bar, and I've had a bunch of different guys coming at me ever since probably, I don't know, since they started doing it down in Nashville, probably back in 2018, 2019. And so I just kind of had a window of period where I could focus on it. So yeah, let's give it a shot, and see how it is. So we came up with a branding and really just want to make people feel, bring a little bit of Nashville back to Indiana. And it's been pretty cool because people come in the bar and they're like, I feel it just like I'm in a Broadway honky tonk. So it's been a lot of fun. And also we give a stage to we got a lot of great talent here in Indiana that plays music. So they got a stage here now that they can play on.
Absolutely. And you've got some names that you come in as well. I think Jake Dodds, I've seen his name on one of the daises, and several others. John Pardee.
Yeah, we had Bert Kreischer even in there. We've become like the comedy after party. I don't even know how it happens. The guy from Impractical Jokers, Murr, he came in, got up and sang. This guy named Uncle Laser, who's a complete psychopath, an awesome dude. He came in, and but Bert was a complete animal, all over the bar with his pouring his vodka in everybody's mouth. It was wild. hopefully we'll get just as wild after we beat the brakes off of Ohio State. Actually, we're not going to beat the brakes off of them, but I think we're going to beat them. And then we're going to have an epic after party. But we're going to have an epic It's going to be the greatest day in IU sports history, I think.
It can be. It could be. Can you, when you were planning all this, could you, with all the things that go on in Indianapolis, and there are tons, it's the greatest sports city in America, maybe in the world. But could you even have thought of a day like this where you've got Indiana basketball playing Louisville, Indiana football playing Ohio State for the Big Ten championship? It doesn't get much bigger than that in Indy.
No, it sure doesn't, Jim. I'm telling you, I would have never dreamt it. Never in a million years. I would have said I would have had a better shot at becoming the WWF wrestling champion than that or something. But it's so cool to see Indiana having its moment. The university, our state. Everywhere you go, people's just talking about Indiana. I was in Texas a couple days ago, and everybody just wants to talk about Indiana, and it's awesome. I love Signetti's passion. I think he's the new version of Bobby Knight, what he was for basketball. I love watching what the basketball team's been doing. Not real happy with Minnesota game, but the Barn's always a tough place to play. But I think it's just, and and we got a lot of other great sports down there with our soccer program, our swimming programs, and it's just cool. And then you got a gal named Caitlin Clark who brings everybody from all over the world to Indianapolis to visit Indy. So it's a really, really cool time to be in the Indianapolis area, especially with a bar and being able to entertain people. I've always been an entertainer, so it's just another branch. My grandma is not happy that I own a tavern. She doesn't like the taverns.
A tavern. Yes. A
Yeah.
tavern.
Her dad spent a little too much time when he was younger in the tavern, so she's got a bad feeling about that, but
They got any taverns down in Bedford?
they used to have quite a few. I don't know really anymore.
I'm talking about the legal ones.
The old downtown tavern, that was the big one back in the day.
Clayton, the name of Clayton's Country Bar, downtown Indy. What's the exact address? I know it's only like a block and a half or so from Gamebridge Fieldhouse.
Yeah, it's right there on Meridian and Maryland Street. So it's the northeast corner of that. It's 49 South Meridian Street. So it's a block and a half away from Gamebridge. It's a short walk to Lucas Oil Stadium. So we're gonna be rocking. We're man, it's gonna be so much fun. We've got all day entertainment starting. Excuse me, all day entertainment starting at 10:30. We got a guy playing acoustic guitar, and then we've got a duo that comes in and plays during the. We got the games on. We're gonna play the basketball game on our TVs. We've got a lot of TVs, but we're gonna have a little duo playing during the game, and then I'm gonna actually play in between the basketball game and the football game, and then we've got and then we're gonna show the football game on our TVs with the sound on. And then as soon as the game's over, we got a great band from Evansville called Tailgate Revival that's going to hit the stage and hopefully celebrate an after party. And we've also got you in there, Jim, doing your radio show right there in the bar. So it's going to be
Absolutely.
awesome.
All kinds of Clayton's Country Bar, downtown Indy. It's right by Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Just would be west of Gamebridge, I guess, on the northeast corner. Meridian and what?
Meridian and Maryland Street. So it's honestly, I hope that we can end up turning Maryland into an awesome spot because we got Tin Roof is on the eastern corner of Maryland. Wild Beaver, which is a great bar, is right next to it.
No comment.
And then we're right there next to it. So we're hoping to kind of become like a little maybe destination for people.
And right 3.5 blocks or so from Lucas Oil. So it's just nice little boom. You leave Gamebridge, you go to Clayton's, you hang out, you have fun, you go down to Lucas Oil, you come back. And then there's going to be the many people that don't leave. They just come and stay all damn day. Boy, that's going to be something. Clayton, I can't wait, brother. Congratulations. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to see you.
All right, we'll see you. Let's go Hoosiers. Go IU.
Clayton Anderson from Clayton's Country Bar as well. Appreciate you, brother. See you tomorrow. There he is, Clayton Anderson joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We'll be there tomorrow after the basketball game, before the football game. A little mixed post-basketball, pre-football show. Let's see. I think we got Scott Laskowski that's going to join us. Of course, Coach will join us to talk some football, but maybe hopefully just talk to some peeps and get Clayton on as well. But stop by, enjoy the entertainment. Before, after, if you're not going to the game, I know there's a lot of people that don't have tickets. So make sure you stop by Clayton's on the way in, way out, or all day. Get your spot. Get there early. I'm going to have to go there early to get me a spot found out. And I'll do just that. Cannot wait. Can't thank everybody enough. Big thanks to ALec Lasley, Zach Osterman, Matt Taylor from the Colts, and, of course, Clayton Anderson from Clayton's Country Bar, where we will be tomorrow. And hopefully we'll see you there, too. Go out, have yourselves a great day. Enjoy it. Enjoy the weekend. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.